the young and the restless spoilers. Victor Newman had always been a man of vigilance and sharp instincts. Tonight was no different. As he strolled through his grand estate, something caught his eye. The cellar door, which was always meticulously locked, stood ajar. His heart raced as he rushed down the stairs, his footsteps echoing off the cold stone walls. Bursting into the cellar, he found it empty. The room, shrouded in darkness, seemed untouched but for the slightly open door. Furious and suspicious, Victor scanned the room, his mind racing with possibilities. Just as he began to investigate further, Jordan appeared at the top of the stairs, her eyes wide with concern. She had been a prisoner in this house, her past misdeeds condemning her to Victor's ruthless captivity. Victor's eyes narrowed. "Who has been down here?" he demanded, his voice a growl. "Why is the door open?" Jordan, her hands trembling, stammered out an explanation. "It must have been the wind, Victor. I swear, no one was down here." Victor's gaze was piercing, filled with distrust, but he knew he had a dinner party to attend. He couldn't afford to let his suspicions disrupt the evening. With a final, lingering look, he turned and ascended the stairs, leaving Jordan alone in the dimly lit cellar. Unknown to Victor, Cole had been hiding behind the door. As soon as Victor left, Cole slipped out of his hiding place, his heart pounding in his chest. He gave Jordan a grateful nod. "Thank you for covering for me," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Jordan's eyes were filled with tears, a mixture of relief and despair. "Just go," she urged him. "Before he comes back." Cole nodded and hurried back to the dinner party. Entering the grand dining room, he put on a pained expression and clutched his stomach. "Sorry for the delay," he apologized to the gathered guests. "I had a terrible stomach ache and had to use the restroom." The guests accepted his excuse, their attention quickly returning to the conversation and food before them. Victor, however, cast a skeptical glance in Cole's direction but said nothing. He had more pressing matters on his mind. As the evening wore on, Jordan found herself alone once more, trapped in the cellar that had become her prison. The weight of her past mistakes bore down on her, and she was overwhelmed with regret and sorrow. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded with Victor, who had returned to check on her. "Victor, please," she sobbed. "I can't live like this anymore. Just give me the poison and let me end it. I don't want to suffer like this." Victor's face remained cold and unmoved. He had no sympathy for Jordan's plight. "You brought this upon yourself," he sneered. "You think a few tears will earn you my forgiveness? Think again." Jordan's cries echoed through the cellar, but they fell on deaf ears. Victor had no intention of showing her mercy. He left her there, alone and broken, her sobs the only sound in the oppressive silence. Meanwhile, Cole was formulating a plan. He couldn't stand by and watch Jordan suffer any longer. He knew he had to rescue her, but it would require cunning and courage. He waited until the household was asleep, then made his way back to the cellar. This time, Cole brought tools with him. He had a small bag of items that he hoped would help him bypass the smart lock that Victor had mocked Jordan about earlier. Among them was a slender, sturdy piece of metal, part of a bed spring Jordan had tried to use earlier. As he worked, his mind raced. He had to be quick and silent, for any noise could alert Victor or the security systems in place. Sweat dripped down his brow as he focused on the task at hand. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, he heard a faint click. The lock had given way. Cole pushed the door open and found Jordan huddled in the corner, her eyes wide with disbelief and hope. "Cole, you came back for me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I couldn't leave you here," Cole replied, helping her to her feet. "We need to move fast." Together, they crept through the estate, avoiding the surveillance cameras and guards. Cole had studied the security layout meticulously, and his knowledge proved invaluable as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors. As they neared the exit, a sudden noise made them freeze. Footsteps approached, heavy and determined. Victor had discovered the open door and was on their trail. "We have to run," Cole urged, taking Jordan's hand. They sprinted towards the rear of the property, where Cole had disabled the alarms earlier in the evening. As they reached the gate, they heard Victor's furious shouts behind them, but they didn't look back.